What is up, CSGs? In this video, I'm going to talk about the Rockets' late game fake comeback versus the Chicago Bulls. What happened? What did I see from the game? We're going to get into all that. Tap in right now. Enjoy. The Rockets Chop Shop is your one-stop shop for all your basketball needs, for highlights, analysis, podcasts. We do it all here at the Rockets Chop Shop. Make sure you hit the like button on the videos that you watch if you enjoy them. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications from all the great drops that we have on the channel. Also, you can visit the Chop Shop merch store and get you some of the swaggiest gear in the Houston Rockets kingdom. And if you want, you can always support the channel directly through donations. And if you want, you can support us through our partnerships with our sponsors. The Rockets Chop Shop is made by fans for fans, and we're going to keep rocking and keep dropping that heat.
This is something I know.
Man, what a tough loss by the Rockets to the Chicago Bulls in an exciting game. To me, in a game that we should have beat them. Like, that is a team that you have to defeat, especially after dropping Miami's game. I thought we were supposed to beat Miami as well. But they basically outcoached, outsmart, out everything us. They beat us from top to bottom against the Heat. But in this game, I for sure marked this as a win. I thought we were going to go 4-2 in this road trip, and I penciled in this game versus Chicago as a game that the Rockets are supposed to win, just because I feel like we have better players, a better coach, and just overall, even with the absence of Dylan Brooks and Tari Eason, we were supposed to win this game. And to me, I have my reasons why I think we lost, and I think it's simply put, you saw it. The adjustments made by Ime Udoka in the second half of the game to bench Jae'Sean Tate and to bench Aaron Holiday is why we won the game. You guys have heard me sound like a hater on this channel for those two players in particular, because I do not see the infatuation with them. I understand depth and blah, 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 but it goes past depth when you have key situations and Jae'Sean Tate is on the court. Not any slight specifically at Jae'Sean Tate. The dude just cannot shoot. He cannot shoot. Like, he is not a player that you would trust to be able to be the person that's going to be on the court in key moments. And for too many closing lineups, too many late games, too many important stretches in a game, that is the person that is out there. Once again, no shot at him. But you think about it. Sengun gets in a post, maybe a pick and roll with Fred. They get a paint touch. Swing, swing, swing. And guess where the defense is helping off the most? The last shot you're going to get is a attempted corner three by Jae'Sean Tate, which, like I said, you might as well just give the other team the ball. Right, those offensive possessions are wasted to me. Ime Udoka is an incredibly stubborn coach when it comes to his lineups, and I feel like he's left a lot of games on the table just by having bad lineups. And I know he's a young coach, but that's something he's going to have to adjust to. And that's just, that's just the way it is. But Jae'Sean Tate only played 3 minutes in the in the second half. He only played 3 minutes, could not hurt us. But some of the performances late down the stretch that are, notable. Obviously, Alperen Sengun in the second half, scoring 20 points of his 25, shooting 90% from the field. And in that fourth quarter, really bringing the team back, carrying the team on his back en route to be able to get us to overtime, where we kind of dropped the ball there. They had some post-game comments for Alperen Sengun. Once again, great game from him. Had an all-star moment. My problem with him in that game is that, bro, where were you at in the first half? Like, we have people that are voting for you to be an all-star, brother. And I don't know if it's something that he just needs to learn, but the team is going to go as he goes. The reason that the Rockets looked bad in Miami was because Sengun wasn't playing his role as the team's best player. He needs to understand that he's the best player. The reason that we looked just joining into the first half is because he wasn't playing like the team's best player. And what do I mean by that? I do not mean that he needs to take every shot. I understood he was trying to get his teammates involved in the first quarter to get their games going, but he has to understand that our bread is buttered when he is dominant in the post, when he is attacking the other team's bigs, because that generates everything else for our offense. We do not have a player outside of him that is a self-creator that can go get their bucket. And so for him to understand that, You're better than Jalen Green, brother. You're better than Fred VanVleet when it comes to offense. Like, you're better than these guys. They need you to be aggressive. This is the same thing with Jalen Green. When I criticize players, it's not about makes or miss. I will sleep good at night if Alperen Sengun went 0 for 20 rather than if he just went 3 of 7 or something like that. Because what he is not understanding, just like with Jalen when he's attacking the basket, is that by function of your role, you help other players out. By you being aggressive, getting downhill, making the defense, they start cheating in a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit. It's like football. I know you guys get sick of me doing a lot of football analogies, but I played football in college, so I got to do it. You think about teams that what they like to run the ball a lot, ground and pound. That's what they call it in football. And you may watch a football game and you see, why does this coach keep running the ball? He's only getting 2 yards. He's only getting 1 yard. Why do you insist on running the ball? The reason you run the ball is to make the defense start to bring an extra man in the box. Maybe the defensive front, there's 7 people in the box to start the game. That means, there's guys on the back end that are going to be covering. So those other 4 players are your defensive backs. If I have a team that I'm going to keep running the ball, maybe I keep getting first downs off of the runs. Guess what happens? That defensive coordinator is going to bring an extra player to be on the line of scrimmage or somewhere closer to the line of scrimmage to stop that run from happening, even though it's just 3 yards here, 4 yards here. Those little cuts add up over time, and it hurts those teams because you're controlling the clock. You're controlling the pace. All of that is going to make the defense adjust. And guess what that does for your wide receivers, right? Single coverage. Now there's not a safety over top to try to, bracket your star receiver. Now he got a one-on-one against a worse corner. All of that translates to basketball. When you're attacking the paint, getting feet in the paint, forcing the issue, drawing fouls, it allows the defense to start to cheat in a little bit. Guys are going to start scooting in, trying to stunt a little bit harder, trying to come down to try to help out a little bit harder. And then with the talented passing Sengun has, then you can start playmaking, right? Then you can start playmaking. Now, this does not absolve the Rockets from shooting like trash. They had a lot of great looks just from the kickouts he got, because even prior to driving, he already had the attention of the Bulls. They had damn near half their, 4 players in the paint ready to help whenever he drives. And this is a thing that we saw in Miami as well. Guys got to hit their shots, which, as I spoke of in my last video, Rafael Stone, brother, we need some shooters. We need shooters. We need shooting. We need an actual real roster that could, actually translate into wins. But despite all of that, I think Sengun needs to understand his role to be aggressive in this offense. And I think I like what he said, that Coach Udoka said that, hey, bro, go score. I need you to go score. Like, he needs to understand that. Maybe it's residual effects from the Steven Silas era, where he becomes like kind of passive at times and tries to be a good team player. But you got to understand the situations. Fred VanVleet has no natural advantages on the court. Jalen Green doesn't have a bag. He does have natural advantages attacking the bigs, but the way the Bulls were playing Jalen, they were just collapsing on him. He was able to use, and shout out to Jalen for using the strength to get to the paint. But that's not his bread and butter. That's not his bread and butter. But Sengun, just you have to start the game on that level. Like, you have to start, not the level of I'm going to go 90% in a half, but the level of I'm putting my head down. Stop foul baiting. Just get downhill and get to work, bro. That's how you get players in foul trouble, when you keep driving and attacking. Like, he went 0 for 5. And I love when players have that switch. And I'll talk about his play in a little bit, but going 0 for 5 shouldn't determine how you play the rest of the game. And kudos to him for not folding it up, because he started off good. But let's start aggressive from the start. I really think that would have had a different impact on his game, and it shouldn't have been close. Other than that, the guys shot really poorly in this game. The 3-pointers were not hitting as much as we wanted them to hit. Let me see. So if you look at the entire game from 3, let's see. Jayshawn Tate 0 for 2, 0%. Jabari Smith shot well, 4 of 9, 44%. 0% for Alp, went 0 for 3. Jalen Green 28% from 3. Fred VanVleet 21% from 3. Cam 2 for 5, 40%. 0% for Aaron Holiday. 0% for Whitmore and Thompson. 0% for that's pretty much the game right there. Right, shooting 24.3% from 3 to the Bulls 40%. That's an L. That's an L. You know what I mean? And the Bulls are not even a good three-point shooting team, and they shot 19 threes and made 19 threes to our 11. You're going to lose that battle there. But the fact that it went into overtime is just a testament to the greatness of Alperen Sengun. That was one of the most superstar moments that I've seen from him in his young career. Like the look in his eyes, like that really, really, like that was really neat to see. I am not going to cap. And just going down the stretch of that game, I know there's a lot of controversy about some of the shot selection of both Sengun and some of the other players in overtime. So let's get to that. So when Alperen Sengun is on fire, I think the Rockets have a hierarchy issue right now, right? Especially late in games. And what I mean by that, and you guys have heard me use the term matchup discipline, right? And matchup discipline is the ability for players to spam a specific look just based on the advantages that it provides their team. And a lot of players do not have matchup discipline, because matchup discipline means that you have to concede, and your ego concede yourself to the betterment of the team, like to what is beneficial to our team right now. Like I stated earlier, Alperen Sengun, 90%, right? He's cooking. I really don't need him, like I said, to take every shot, but every possession in a game like that where it's not ran through him is a bad possession. And even in the overtime session, Alp took a dumb three. I think that three, I didn't like that 3-pointer he tried to pull on a pull-up three. But otherwise, you heard Ryan Hollins talk about it. If you watch the post-game, Gerald Green and Calvin Murphy talked about it. Bro, you got to feed the beast. I don't give a damn how I look. I rather live and die by my best player. That's the reason those guys are those guys. And the play I'm talking about specifically, there's a play that was controversial on Twitter where Jalen Green ran a pick and roll, just ran a pick and roll and decided to attack the entire Bulls defense. Now, some people say that, he could have made the shot. He should have made he should have made the layup. But when you look at it on that play, you look at the play, his man, Zach LaVine, rolled with him. So that left Sengun open at the 3-point line. Now, people are going to say, well, Sengun's not a 3-point shooter. I trust Alperen Sengun to be able to make a play off a kick out where the entire Bulls defense is collapsed on Jalen Green, who is by far one of the worst layup makers in the NBA. This man ranks in the 28th percentile, 20th, like 20 percentile. He is shooting 48% on layups, which is bad, right? And then you compound on that the fact that it was a contested layup. So to me, that's the equivalent of a Jayshawn Tate contested three. That is not your strong suit, brother. And in that context, the read on that play is the pass. And I'm not even going to hold Jalen to the standard of like making the kick out to any of his teammates that were wide open. Fred VanVleet was open in the corner. Cam was open in the opposite corner. Jabari was wide open in the wing area. You have to either make the layup, you got to make the pass, or you got to just not run that play. Because honestly, as good as Jalen is, that type of play is not the type of play that you want to see him doing. Because if I had a key moment in the overtime where we need every bucket counts, and people are like, it's just one play. That in the overtime, in clutch moments, it is not just one play. When it comes down to those clutch moments, it is not just one play. You want your best shot at scoring a basket. And if you give yourself a bad look or an offensive possession that is bad, or a play that you're not good at, and that's what you get out of your possession, then that was a bad possession. And I felt like, personally, watching the game in real time, maybe I'm wrong, it felt like he saw Alperen closing out the game and felt he needed to put his imprint on the game. That's the only explanation I have, or his basketball IQ is not that high. But the matchup discipline part is very, very important, because what that shows is that you understand the game. We have seen this happen with one player I can always reference to is James Harden. Now, I'm not comparing Jalen Green to James Harden, but just to give you guys an example of that matchup discipline. James Harden, through the Unguardable tour, teams started trapping him right at half court. And the matchup discipline would be for him to concede giving up the ball to whoever they put in the center of the court to take that off of him over and over and over again, because that's the best play to score in that moment. Same thing happened when he played with Russ, giving up the ball over and over and over again. These are the things you're going to see with all the high level, high IQ players in the NBA, Jokic, Luka, LeBron. When you have a certain look, you have to go to it till the other team stops it, right? And I just think that, even Fred has this issue. Fred's shot selection late in games, it is just not great. He is not good late in games. And I think that as a point guard, he definitely needs to understand, like, Sengun got to touch the ball on every play, because we know that Sengun is not a ball hog or somebody that's going to make the wrong play. He's going to make the right play more often than not. So you have to run it through him. And I feel like there's a hierarchy issue on the team that they need to figure out. And obviously that's going to take time. That's just natural stuff that happens with players. So I'm going to look at just to show you guys, like, right now the Rockets are not a good clutch team, right? When it comes to net rating, let's see, your Houston Rockets ranked 23rd in the clutch, and the clutch in the NBA is defined as the last 5 minutes of a game with 5 points differential or less, right? So within 5, right? Within 5, your Rockets are ranked bottom third in the NBA, have a negative 9.8 clutch rating. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't have a hierarchy. Also, looking at the actual lineups in the clutch for the players that play clutch minutes, who has the worst net rating in the clutch? This leads me to my other point. Jayshawn Tate, minus 54.5 in clutch minutes. Minus 54.5. How many games over these last stretch of games has Tate closed out the game for us? That's why I'm talking about Ime Udoka being stubborn. Aaron Holiday, minus 36.5 as the second worst on the team. Jalen Green, minus 20 in the clutch. Fred VanVleet, minus 9.9. Jabari Smith Jr., minus 9.1. Dylan Brooks, minus 6.7. Alperen Sengun, minus 3.3. Tari Eason, plus 3.8. And Jeff Green, plus 17.5. So you see the big swing from Tate being on the court in those moments. Why do clutch moments make Tate ineffective? He can't shoot. He can't shoot. And it is no coincidence that when he was benched for one Cam Whitmore, that the team looked a lot better. I think, it's just me, I think that Cam has shown me enough to start over Tate. Like, as we speak, like, he needs to start over Tate. And I think Cam has shown enough in this game that by April, Rockets might have it might be a discussion that needs to be had, right? So Cam in this game, he played 32 minutes, which is by far the most he's played all season. 6 of 12, 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 60-40-100, guys. 16 points. And just played 5 big rebounds. I mean, he was defensively, man. He had possessions. I know what's his name? What's your boy? DeMar DeRozan baited him into a lot of fouls, but there were plays where he was able to shut the game down. His body strength, foot movement, lateral mobility, hip flexibility. Dude's a good defender. Right now, good defender. In the 16 minutes he played on the court with the starting 5, even with Jalen Green on the court, they were a plus 15 in this game. So we beat the Bulls by plus 15 in this game. And in the Tate minutes that we played, we were a minus 12. There's your game right there. So that's an Ime thing. That's an Ime. How many of y'all been saying start Cam for like 4 games, right? So coaches are a bit slow to adjust into things, and that's just how it is. But that's an Ime thing. Like, he has to be able to see that. But, Cam, I think that defensively, he is just as good, if not better than Jalen. Like, right now, I think shooting, he's probably a better shooter than Jalen. He's bigger. He's stronger. I think Jalen's a better passer. I also like the fact they play well next to each other. Right? They play well next to each other. What's going to be interesting is when Dylan and Tari Eason come back, what happens then? Now, if I know how Coach Doka is going to do this, because he's a coach and coaches are usually the same, Cam's is going to suffer in his minutes because he's 19 years old and there's no rush on him. So you have older players, guys you're paying more money, they're going to get the preference. And you can see Cam's minutes go down. But I honestly think Cam also needs to get as many minutes as a man Thompson. If Cam Whitmore is as real as advertised, I never want to see Aaron Holiday play again unless he's there just to space out. And I think that with Coach Udoka benching some of these players that we've seen as problematic in stretches, I know some of you guys like Aaron Holiday. I don't. I really don't appreciate his game. I think that he is a just like a Kevin Porter Jr. type of guard where he's a score first. And even with the passing, it's like, damn, take the ball, bro. Here you go type of passes. He doesn't want to pass. Like you could see in his mind, like, I want to score, but I guess my teammate's open. When I saw a play where Coach Udoka actually pointed at him to pass the ball, I was like, yeah, he's cooked. So Cam and the men, synergies there. Usually when they're on the court, we're doing good, right? Those bench lineups is what kept the game close, led by man Thompson. The shot is not there right now. I think it's going to take a lot of time for him to get there, but Amen was a +3, man. He was a positive in the game. You know what I mean? He impacts the game with his pace and other things like that. But you can see the impact once they switch over to Cam Whitmore, changes the whole dynamic of the game. It changes the entire dynamic of the game for us. Like, we have to make that adjustment. So I'm curious to see, is Coach Udoka going to make that adjustment? Is it time to like sit down Jayshawn Tate? We have Detroit coming up. That will be a perfect game for Cam to start. That would be a perfect game for Cam to start because Tate offers us really nothing right now with his shot being off. He can't guard. He can't shoot. He can't rebound. He doesn't really pass the ball like that. Like, we're just playing 4-on-5. So I want to see if this +17 or 15 net rating that the Cam Whitmore lineups had in 16 minutes against the Bulls, is that real? Is that real? You think about it, the spacing that provides, right? Now, when Alperen and Fred run that two-man game, you got shooters flanked everywhere. The worst shooter out there would be Jalen Green, right? And I'm okay if that's your worst shooter is Jalen Green, who's been shooting, 39, 40% from three over the last 10 or so games, then that's a lot of pressure on teams. And defensively, the defensive rating for that lineup is pretty good. You know what I mean? Actually, the offense kind of struggled a bit, but their defense was 90.3 points per possession. And there was a 4-minute stretch where they just clamped the Bulls down. And speaking of defense, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the play of Jabari Smith Jr., who is flashing a lot, man. One thing I know about Jabari can guard him some of them wings, boy. If there's a wing out there in the NBA, we got a wing stopper. One thing he can't do is guard the post. He struggles a little bit on shifty, smaller guards, which, he's 6'11". So, but when it comes to wings, the Kawhis, the Paul Georges, the DeRozans, even some of these Zach LaVine types, he's shutting that down. And for him to play some clutch defense down the stretch, that last possession where he went one-on-one and clamped up DeRozan was just impressive. Like, that was impressive. He got to show everything that you want to see from him. Obviously he probably wished he could have hit a couple more shots in that game, but to play 47 minutes is crazy for Jabari Smith Jr. and to play 47 good minutes. I mean, he was a +8 on the game, which is the highest on the team. The dude had, like I said, 50, 40, didn't get to the free throw line, had 15 rebounds, 18 points. That's an all-star level performance, man. Not saying he's going to be doing that on night in, night out basis, but it just gives you flashes of what this team could be when guys start figuring it out. I love that for Jabari as a stopper. I want to see the Tari Eason, Jabari lineups close out games more with the Senguns out there. Fred VanVleet is going to be Fred VanVleet. The question then, because if you guys remember what I just read off about the plus minuses in the clutch, it's going to come down to the balance of figuring out what Jalen Green is and what he can do and giving the opportunities to turn the corner. And Jalen had a good game. I love the game he had attacking the basket. He had a couple, dumb turnovers where there was one he got 2 in a row, and it was like a 6-point swing on the game. And obviously the play I described, but overall, like, that's the Jalen Green I need to see. I love the swagger, the confidence that he has. He was playing good on defense. He had a couple blown plays, but he was playing deep. That's a baseline level player. Like, he's playing like somebody that is not a star player, but at least you don't want to bench him, right? And I think him and Cam, interesting enough, they play well together. But when you go down to closing stretches, what we figured out now is Coach Udoka has another player that he could close out with. And I'm going to see, like, as time goes on, if Cam gets more minutes, y'all know my marker of a star player or a player that's going to be good is if you give them more frequency, does their efficiency and their impact go up with it? And Cam is one of those guys that so far so good it is. I think it's a good problem to have for the Rockets, that you have players that are going to be competing at the same spot. And it just gives us more options to close out games. I hope that Coach Udoka plays him against Detroit. That'll be a perfect Cam game. Also, I don't know when Tari is coming back or Dylan, but we got Boston. That's going to be a tough game. And I feel like it's a game that we can win. Yes, they're a really good team, but I feel like we rise to the occasion. If we can get Dylan or Tari back, man, there's a good chance. Because one thing I'm seeing on these games, the kids are vets. They're learning stuff. That's what you want to take away from this. That was a learning experience for us. You get more information about players. Guys know now, okay, Sengun got a different level he can get to, right? Guys know now, damn, Cam kind of nice. Coach got that on film now. Okay, Jabari, you got the confidence being able to shut down guys. Fred is reading things by how the guys are playing. He has another option to kick it out to. Jalen is seeing things. Even though he took that shot and missed it, that's a learning experience for him to be able to know, okay, maybe I should have passed it out. Maybe let the game flow better. Maybe just read the pick and roll and try to get that. That's something you can go over film on. So those are the positives from these moments, because we're not going to win a championship right now, but you do want to learn from these mistakes that they're making. Sengun needs to be more aggressive. So maybe him seeing the team lose because of maybe some lack of aggression in the first half makes him more aggressive in the next game and understand his role on the team. For Coach Udoka, maybe you need to pull them lineups a little bit earlier. These are all data points that they can use. I can't wait for our team to get healthy. I can't wait for the trade deadline, because I feel like you had a backup 5, you had a shooter to this team, and it's a different ball game. To shut down the Bulls for a damn near 4-minute stretch without them scoring a single bucket, just shut off the water like that is impressive. That is impressive. They can tap into that. And this is without one of our best defenders. So even though I wanted this game really, really bad, it was a hard loss. I'm still proud of the effort that the guys play with. And I think that going forward, this is a game this is a game they can glean a lot from. But y'all let me know, man, what was your favorite part of the game? Did you think that we were going to win? I had like this, with the Rockets, Heartbreak Hotel with them, I felt good going. And when we went up 5 and Alp was cussing and call, I was like, man, we got this. I was screaming and hype. But yeah, we ended up losing it. But I don't know what y'all thought. Let me know what your thoughts were on the game. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep dropping that.